He's called me venomous.
We will fight back to your attempt to bring Trumpism to New York City.
He's called me disgraceful.
Over the fact that they stole the Supreme Court seat. An illegitimate president and an illegitimate member of the United States Supreme Court.
He's called me radical.
Listen, yes. We know he's crazy. Yes. We know he doesn't have a sound mind. Yes. We know he's out of control. Yes. We know he's losing it. Yes. We know his days are numbered and we will come together.
He's called me a racist.
We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale.
It's important. Attorney General representing our respective states, stand up and enforce the rule of law. The President of these United States is not above the law.
No matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are, everyone must play by the same rules.
Please sue him for us.
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the
I'm going to use the law both as a sword and as a shield and challenge Donald Trump. And each and every time he issues an illegal executive order, I am going to stand up to him because he represents to me sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity.
Over 1 month later.
The Angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud.
Oh my gosh. Pride goeth before the fall. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, the platitudes, the memes, the gifs, they just fall out of the sky with this one. Tish James is in some serious trouble. We have got to talk about this breaking story. For those of you who don't know, as we saw in that clip, there's been a criminal referral. This is not this is not a lawsuit. This is not the DOJ potentially coming after Tish James because they don't like something that she did. No. This is coming from the Federal Housing, FHA, to the DOJ. It is a criminal referral for criminal fraud. This is not, hey, you try. Although the goal of this might have been to get some better mortgage rates. It was also, I think, to scam some of the state of New York out of some of the city of New York out of some of the things that they do based on the number of rooms and all that you have in your home and all that. But anyway, this is not just what Letitia James did to Trump. This is far worse. This is mortgage fraud, and this is a criminal referral. Now, does anybody remember this? For anybody who doesn't, as Cat Turd, shout out to Cat Turd. Check him out on X. Whoopsie, Donald Trump. If we remember the Tish James way back in the day, Donald Trump lied about his net worth on his statements of financial condition to get loans for much better terms than he should have. Well, this is coming back around full circle, but it's coming back around a lot harder because Trump didn't do anything in this particular case criminal. Remember, they sued him in court for fraud. They got a big judgment from a ridiculous judge who was completely compromised, who never should have been on the case, a case that never should have been brought. In fact, the appellate court, if you check out a video that we did a long time ago, the appellate court was questioning the city of New York, and they basically said, wait a minute, you're telling me that you had two sophisticated financial players in this transaction. One financial player submitted statements of financial condition that were wholly subjective, and in those statements of financial condition told the other party, notwithstanding, do your own due diligence. The other party being a bank, which automatically does its own due diligence. They were told by the Trump organization to do their own due diligence, and everybody was happy with the transaction. There were no victims. Yet they sued Trump anyway. Now this is going to get much uglier for Tish James because this is not a lawsuit situation. This is not, we're going to get some money out of you. No, this is instead a criminal referral for making direct, fraudulent, untrue statements. This is not an issue of subjective value. This is how many bedrooms does your home have? And you're not going to believe this, but when we get into this story, this is also who were you married to? So with that, we're going to dive in because Laura Ingraham had Jonathan Turley on her show, and they were discussing this. She dedicated half the show to Tish James getting a criminal referral for mortgage fraud. We're going to dive into that. Before we do, just want to shout out, thanks so much, everybody, for being here. Capo, first in the house. Justin Greco here. John Jackson. This is absolutely amazing. You guys are here. Thanks so much for being here. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already to the new channel, turn on the notifications, and if you like the content, share it with everybody that you know. Lynn Sanger in the house as well. All right, let's go. Sorry about that. Here we go.
The Trump Justice Department may be paying in her, what. The angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Bill Pulte says James appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. He said a property in Virginia that she's allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York that she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of the required, instead of a 5, which Pulte says means she was able to get a different type and more favorable loan. Joining me now is Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and law professor at GW University. Jonathan, mortgage fraud is rampant in the United States. There's all sorts of fraud rampant. There's disability fraud that they've vowed to crack down on in the Trump administration. But this is another thing that they have vowed to crack down on because it costs real money. Your reaction to these allegations?
Well, obviously, the irony is perfectly crushing. This is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping a label off a mattress. And among the charges that were brought in New York, and not just a civil to criminal case, was making false or misleading statements to financial institutions. And one of these sections, Section 1014 of the federal code, is prosecuted. It took me about 60 seconds of a search to find cases that the Department of Justice brought against people who falsely claimed that property was their principal residence in order to get loans. So this is well-tread areas for the Justice Department. As for James, if we apply the Letitia James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also, they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So there's a lot of those questions. And as you know, the Supreme Court just stated earlier in March in a case called Thompson that they want to see knowing false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements. These are misleading statements. Either it's your principal residence or it's not. Either you're married to your father or he's your father. So they can this can satisfy the Thompson standard.
Wow. This is absolutely bombshell stuff. That you had Tish James, who went full force after Donald Trump in a civil suit. The state of New York suing Donald Trump, not prosecuting him criminally, not claiming that he violated the law necessarily, but suing him criminally for misleading statements on a state of financial condition, stating that he inflated the value of Mar-a-Lago, which is a subjective value no matter what. Even if you had 10 appraisers say that the value of Mar-a-Lago, let's just make up numbers, was you had 10 appraisers and one said it was worth 50, one said it was worth 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. So you had a range from 50 to 75 or to 100 million. And even if Trump said, I think it's worth 120, okay, that's a misleading statement that on something that is inherently subjective. You've got Tish James in filing for a federal mortgage, an FHA mortgage, which is now governed by the federal government. This is not a two-party transaction between a private bank and a private company that are working out loan terms for a private deal. No. This is Tish James looking for publicly backed money. She's filling out federal forms, which means that the standard of veracity has to be much higher. And as he said, even with the new Thompson standard, are the statements that she made verifiably false, and were they knowingly false? Well, I don't know, but I think if you're married to your father or not. And by stating that a property in Virginia is your primary residence, when by law, as the Attorney General of New York, you must reside in New York. Therefore, your Virginia home cannot be your primary residence. I mean, this stuff, you can't make this stuff up. This is who Democrats are. This is who Tish James is. This is not going to go well for her, I don't think. I think this is going to end up in a very bad way for Tish James and anybody around her. I want to dive in. The Benny Show, Benny Johnson had on another legal expert like Jonathan Turley in this case, talking about specifically this. Check this out.
So there's a lot of issues here. There's number one is the Virginia residents, the phantom mortgages, the intent to occupy another residence as a primary residence. There's the Brooklyn property whereby she represents it's 1 to 4 units in all of the mortgage documents, but it's really 5 units. There's the Department of Buildings that gave her a pass, which is inexplicable. And there's another issue that wasn't covered in the Justice Department's referral letter. I found that in the year 2021 to 2022, she made 6 or 7 trips with a private jet carrier called Venture Jets. Now, New York State has this big checkbook thing that you can go back to 2014, look up any vendor, any transaction when New York State reimbursed money. It's from the Officer of the Controller's Office. Now, what happens is she was the only one in the history of New York City as far back that used Venture Jets. And a few of the trips overlapped. A few of the trips overlapped with campaign events that she was at. Now, after New York State stopped paying for her Venture Jets, her campaign started paying for Venture Jets. So that's another thing that I'm sure the FBI will be investigating.
So she was using public funds to campaign, which is illegal.
Possibly, yes.
Okay.
Listen, the other stuff, the mortgage stuff is a slam dunk. The other stuff is, we will see. I have filed for a FOIL request, but it's too.
I wanted to get to that last statement of what he said. The mortgage fraud stuff is a slam dunk. The documents exist. It is verifiably false that a Virginia residence, a Virginia home, could be her primary residence as the Attorney General of New York. It is verifiably and knowingly false. It is verifiably and knowingly false that her father is her husband. That would violate the law of incest. So I guess pick your felony. Do you want to be guilty of incest, or do you want to be guilty of mortgage fraud? I don't know. Maybe you should look at the statute of limitations and the potential penalties and let's do a Monte Carlo analysis, shall we? I mean, this is just absolutely nuts. Tish James could be looking at some serious time, prison time. And Lynn Sanger, that's absolutely right. I mean, most underwriters would catch this. Did somebody get bribed? It's quite possible. Nellie, welcome in. Marlene, welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us here. Nellie, I agree with you. The Democrat Party, the more this goes down this road with Fannie Willis potentially getting indicted and criminally charged, with Tish James looking at criminal referrals, potentially getting indicted and criminally charged, you could see from a public perception perspective and everything else, and the fact that they no longer have access to taxpayer money laundered through USAID and the Department of Education and all the NGOs and all of that, you could be looking at the end of the Democrat Party as we know it. And wouldn't that be a great thing, especially since the Democrats are now skewing so far left. You've got AOC in the latest polls running neck and neck with Kamala Harris as the, quote, leader of the party. The ultra far left, know-nothing Sandy Ocasio, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this is going to get really ugly for them. Now, this is not the only thing going on. We got three major stories for you today. That was the first one. That's breaking. Tish James staring down the barrel of a criminal indictment for mortgage fraud. And in the words of a legal expert, it is a slam dunk. Now, next to that, we've got, we're going to go back to this Kilmar Abrego Garcia, MS-13 gang member deported to El Salvador story, because we've got a couple developments. Van Hudden, the senator, has made his way down to El Salvador. Well, so we're going to cover that. But before we get to that, Stephen Miller was at it again. He has had enough. He is fed up with these idiot establishment propaganda media talking heads. He was outside the White House at their outside press briefing spot, and he had some very choice questions for the media entourage that I want you to see. And then we're going to get into some more of this Abrego Garcia story, because it gets even deeper. The web gets even stickier for all this. Before we do, please smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Thanks so much for being here. If you like this, please share this content with everybody that you know. Let everyone you know, everyone that you know that we are now at this channel, the Chris Highland Show. So we can get all our subscribers to come over here. That would be absolutely fantastic. So let's dive into this. Here we've got Stephen Miller in classic Stephen Miller form. You're gonna love this.
Let me ask you, what do you think would happen to him if he came back to this country? As your understanding of immigration laws, what do you think would happen?
But I'm just asking
it's important to know.
About whether
you're asking a lot of
whether or not
questions.
The president,
You were all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
Does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if he came back here? Does any of you know? Any of you?
Do you really believe the Supreme Court?
I'm talking.
Do you
now.
really believe the Supreme Court
doesn't? I'm talking now.
Doesn't think he should be returned? Why was it unanimous?
You're done. Does any of you know the answer to the question? Does any of you? You've been talking about it for days.
All would deport him again. No.
He would be arrested.
Okay.
He'd be put in confinement. He would be deported the second time to El Salvador again, because there's no withholding order for an alien who's a member of a foreign terrorist organization, number one. Number two is the gang that he's a member of doesn't exist in El Salvador anymore. So what you're asking for is to be deported twice. But additionally, if we chose to just pretend that the withholding order was real, he would be deported to a different country. So, for example, he could be deported to Egypt. So I'm just trying to understand, is it your view, in other words, you define a country that would be willing to take a MS-13 member from El Salvador. So I'm trying to understand from you all is, so if he came back and under our laws, he was then deported to Egypt or to Somalia, would you then be saying, great, I'm so glad that you deported him to another country? Is that what you'd all be saying? Do you understand our immigration laws at all? But the premise of your question, the gentlemen, the return, guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. You.
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time.
Stephen, we're not going anywhere. On
just,
the gold cards.
Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order?
How do you know that?
Absolutely classic Stephen Miller. Does any of you know the difference? Oh, we're not in the government. You couldn't spend 72 hours on Google. Google, what is the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? It's not that hard. These people are complete morons. The establishment propaganda media is out there to do nothing but spin and push a narrative that has been handed to them from somebody above them. This goes all the way back to the globalist cabal of corruptocrats. This starts in that group. The establishment has nothing to do with the truth. They don't care about the truth. They don't embrace the truth. They don't even like the truth. They want to spin their lies, and they want to base everything on that. They have been gaslighting you for days. The quote unquote Maryland father is a member of MS-13. He has been implicated in human trafficking. The web gets even deeper, which we'll see in a few minutes. He was legally deported. He had 2 deportation hearings and a deportation order. But I love what Stephen Miller said at the beginning. What do you think will happen to this person if he actually comes back to the United States? Let's say Bukele says, hey, U.S., we want to save face, so we're shipping Garcia back to you. The U.S., based on the Supreme Court decision, must facilitate his return. Okay, the administration would say, sure, send him back. Put him on a plane. We'll send a plane down, whatever you need. He would show up somewhere in the United States. They would probably most likely fly him to Texas or some other border state. The moment he stepped off the airplane, he would be arrested and incarcerated for being an illegal alien under a deportation order, also subject to the Alien Criminal Sedition Act. And so he would be immediately incarcerated and, as Stephen said, deported again. Most likely to El Salvador, because the withholding order does not apply when someone's identified as a member of a foreign terrorist organization. But even if they pretended that he wasn't and the withholding order was still there, they would ship him somewhere else. They would send out a note, anybody willing to take an MS-13 gang member, and they would get some country to say, sure, if you pay us enough, we'll take him. Egypt, Venezuela, Chile, Guatemala, I don't know. He's going somewhere. He's not staying in the United States, which makes this next clip so laughable as we dive into Van Houten, who has now traveled to El Salvador to try to effectuate the release of this criminal illegal alien. Check this out.
I just landed at the airport in San Salvador a little while ago. I'm now en route into the city. Looking forward to meeting with the team from the American Embassy. And I do thank our Foreign Service officers and the whole team at this embassy and embassies around the world for all the good work they do on behalf of our country. I'm proud to co-chair the bipartisan Foreign Service Caucus that stands up for the men and women who are serving our country overseas and at home in the State Department. After that, I hope to meet with some high-level government officials from El Salvador. As I said before, the goal of my visit is to talk to people here about the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I told his wife and his family I would do everything possible to bring him home, and we're going to keep working at this until we're successful. I also hope to have the chance to meet with him, but we'll have a better idea if that works out a little later on.
He's never coming home. That's the whole point of Stephen Miller, laying out exactly what's going to happen procedure-wise, even if he does come back to the United States. Now, I personally think, I could be wrong, I guess I'm kind of hoping it, that the Bukele administration in El Salvador tells Van Houten to go pound sand. We're not meeting with you. You can go meet with the embassy all you want. They didn't deny him entry, so he's there in the country. They should tell him, hey, go meet with your embassy all you want. Go have dinner, stay in a hotel, have fun. You're not going to the prison, and we're not meeting with you. So have a nice life. Because Bukele already said he is not going to he's not going to remove Abrego Garcia. He's not going to smuggle him back into the United States. And even if he does, quote unquote, release him back into U.S. custody, that just means he's going to be immediately incarcerated and redeported. So this idea that he's going to end up back with his family is a complete and utter falsification. It's false hope. It's a pipe dream. It's never going to happen. Now, as I said, this story gets even stickier, this web surrounding Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Now, his wife has been out on the stump, saying, she's fighting for her husband, blah, blah, blah. Now, but this is very interesting, considering the fact that it has now been uncovered that you've got another problem with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Not only has he been in the country illegally, not only has he been identified by El Salvadorian intel, by the Department of Justice, as an MS-13 gang member. Not only was he arrested with other MS-13 gang members, not only has he been identified as having been in danger from a rival gang in El Salvador that now no longer exists, hence the withholding order, but now we find out that his wife successfully, she twice brought charges of domestic abuse and at least once successfully got a protective order against Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Jennifer Vasquez's allegations of serious domestic violence by El Salvadoran deportee Garcia were made more than once. In addition to petitioning the court successfully in 2021 for a protective order, she also filed received one in 2020. So twice she has filed for orders of protection against her husband for domestic violence. So now we know that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was here illegally, is implicated as a member of a foreign terrorist organization, MS-13, and that's from both El Salvadoran and U.S. intelligence sources. That's now almost a subject of settled fact. He has been implicated in human trafficking, and now, according to a court twice, there is serious credible evidence that he is guilty of domestic violence, hence a protective order for his wife. This is just nuts. Now, I want to dive into the rest of the Stephen Miller press conference outside of the White House. You're going to love this because, again, he just goes to town on these people. Do not let the establishment propaganda media gaslight you any further. If MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC, if any of them are talking, they're lying.
Gentlemen, the return, guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But so you couldn't spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time.
Stephen, we're not going anywhere. On the gold cards.
Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order?
My question is, how do you know that he's a member of MS-13? The White House has repeatedly said, according to intelligence.
By the way, according to our government and his government. In other words, his government has confirmed based on their own intelligence that he's a member of MS-13. First of all, do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
What's that?
Do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
No.
Okay. And do you dispute that as an illegal alien, we have the right to deport him?
He
went through the legal process. So I want to be very... Okay.
Exactly. It is settled fact. He is here illegally. Therefore, we have the right to deport him.
What I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now?
Not one person in the media, frankly, knows the difference between their hand and their backside. Let's be honest. These are talking head propaganda idiots. They are there to push a narrative. They have memorized talking points. They frankly know nothing.
I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return...
Again, this goes back to the fact that the propaganda media is gaslighting you. They are lying. He is under a deportation order. I love what Stephen Miller said there. According to the courts, he must be deported. Not you can if you want to. No, he has a deportation order. He must be deported. There is no option. And now he must be deported to the most convenient country, which would be his country of origin, since A, he is a member of a foreign terrorist organization which voids the withholding order, and the gang that he was supposedly in danger of no longer exists in El Salvador. So you have a twofold reason why the withholding order is now void. So you deport him back to El Salvador. But in any case, you deport him. So no matter what, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is never, ever going to live in the United States for even a day again as a free man. The minute he shows up, if he ever does, he will be incarcerated. These people want you to believe a lie.
You've been spun up by the open borders advocates. You all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that?
Stephen, can I ask, as a matter of policy, does the administration believe that immigration judges, because they're under DOJ, that their orders can be overruled by what the administration wants? Is that a general matter of policy?
Well, actually, so specifically, is the Attorney General has authority to overrule the immigration courts. That's actually a statute, yes. That's the question.
Exactly. The immigration courts are an an Article 2 executive function. They are not part of the judiciary. They are not part of the judicial branch, Article 3. Immigration courts are like all of the other administrative courts that have been set up for the various agencies. They are executive branch Article 2 functions. Therefore, Pam Bondi can disregard any immigration court that she wants to. Now, she cannot willy-nilly disregard a district judge, a federal district judge. I say they should, because when you issue an unlawful order, it's unlawful. But anyway, so yes, the immigration courts are subject. They are under the auspices of Pam Bondi. But again, I love what he says. He's pounding this in. Under no circumstances will Abrego Garcia ever live here again.
Gold card. President and Secretary Letnick have suggested they're lining up applicants already. How many people do you expect to be tagged to this program when the president announces it this week, if he actually announces it this week?
I'll let Secretary Letnick.
Right, so we have now gone over to the gold card, which evidently they've already sold like 1,000 of them. $5 billion worth of gold cards. Anyway, so I wanted you to see that because Stephen Miller is once again in rare form schooling the media on just how bad they are, and also educating the American public on exactly what's going on here and how badly the media has lied, how badly the Democrat congressional delegation and people like Senator Von Huff are lying to you. This man is never coming home. He may set foot on American soil again, but it will only be to be incarcerated and redeported. This is absolutely an open and shut case. It is done. As they say in many cases, asked and answered. Done deal. Now, I want to switch gears one more time because we've got another Democrat making news, making headlines, although you may not have seen this because it hasn't had as big a headlines as some others. But we've got the mayor of Boston, Mayor Wu, who is in a little bit of trouble herself. And again, this is going to paint the entire Democrat Party as people see this. They are going to see Fani Willis under indictment. They are potentially going to see Tish James under indictment. They may also see Mayor Wu under indictment. all of them for similar problems: fraud, money laundering, foreign influence peddling, you name it. This is absolutely amazing. So let's dive right into this as we switch gears. Please, as we do, Cindy V, thanks so much for showing up. Thanks for being here. Please, everybody, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications. You all are amazing, amazing audience. All right, here we go.
The sanctuary city can sit by and watch their communities get ravaged by illegal aliens. They can watch young women get raped and murdered. Trump administration is not going to stand for that. So look, they can stand by and watch. And the Trump administration will secure their communities. The Trump administration will drive down illegal and crime in this country. If they don't do it, we'll do it for them. But they can't. They can sit aside and watch, but they can't cross that line. When they cross the line of harboring concealment, that's a felony. And we got Pam Bondi now who won't hesitate to take action. When they can't impede in our enforcement efforts to make this country safe again. That's a felony.
And so please, let's see the indictments coming. Not just for, in this particular case, impeding ICE in their lawful duties of removing illegal aliens, of which we need to remove millions, by the way. 1,000 removal a day is not enough. We need to be at 10,000 a day over the next 4 years. That would get us to almost 16 million. That's where we need to be, north of 10,000 a day. So I hope he gets there. But the breaking news about Mayor Wu is the amount of foreign money that she has taken and the fact that she very well might be a Chinese spy. I want to remind everybody who Mayor Wu is with this brief snippet where Byron Donalds took her apart in a congressional hearing about illegal immigrants in cities. Check this out. And then we're going to get into the story.
Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
You don't
services,
ask
so
about
we
how
don't
much
have
money
that
the city of Boston has spent on illegal immigration?
We
Are
don't
you out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policies.
Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep
Mayor
our city
Wu,
safe.
do you manage
we
your
have
budget or
the
not?
numbers to prove it. I manage my budget. I have a AAA bond rating dating back 10 years.
So to the city of Boston, just
basically every city has a AAA bond rating because they're government at this point. You have to be so egregiously bad to not have one. But anyway.
Understand that your mayor does not care how much of your resources she has spent on people who are not citizens
The city
of
of Boston
the city of
is
Boston.
sick of having
I'm
people
reclaiming my
outside
time.
Boston
Mr.
telling
Bear,
us what
Mr.
we
Bear, I
need.
have a question for you because
All right. So that's who Mayor Wu is. Standing up. She is the queen of the resistance to ICE. She's the one who has said over and over again that she will not participate with ICE. She will not cooperate. She will actively impede them. So there's a lot right now to go on, frankly, to start indicting people up there. But this gets even deeper and scarier and uglier and more infuriating because it has now come out that Mayor Wu could potentially be a Chinese agent on the receiving end of money from the Chinese Communist Party. Check this out. Oops.
Boston media consultant and head of a Chinese civic association. Yu is listed as an official by the Chinese Communist Party's United Front Work Department, an agency tied to influence operations and intelligence work. Reports from CCP sources and Chinese state media describe Yu as a recruiter for the Chinese government. Wu's campaign says that there's nothing suspicious about taking $300,000 from a Chinese intelligence recruiter. I mean, who among us hasn't accidentally laundered foreign influence money while trying to become mayor?
I mean, yeah, that's true. It's obviously a common problem. Oops, $300,000 showed up from the CCP from China. Oh, it was given to me by a Chinese spy who's basically in charge of recruiting spies for the Chinese Communist Party. No, it's an honest mistake. Oops. I mean, this is where we're at. Remember that you've had Swalwell was sleeping with Feng Feng. You had a Chinese spy as Pelosi's chauffeur. There are Chinese spies all over Democrat politicians. They are everywhere. They're replete with them because it's not like they're hiding. I think they're being invited in. These people, in my opinion, are Chinese agents. They are agents operating inside the United States government, whether it's at the federal, the state, or the local level, And they have these Chinese spies on their staff because that's what they owe them for the money.
Wu's defense is basically, that's not true, which is the exact same defense Hillary Clinton used about her emails, Fauci used about gain-of-function research, and Biden used about, well, everything.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.
All right. So that's the basic story. So here we are. Get into a little bit of detail here. All right. So Boston Mayor Michelle Wu's 2021 campaign received six-figure, $300,000 worth of donations from a fundraiser listed as an official at an agency of the Chinese Communist Party. So he's not even hiding it. He's not trying to be cool. This guy, Gary Yu, basically said, I am a foreign agent. I work for the Chinese Communist Party. Gary Yu helped raise $300,000 for Wu's campaign. He's listed as an official by an agency, the CCP, influence and intelligence service called United Front Work Department, which recruits other agents. So now we have got, oh my gosh, you can't make this stuff up. This is where I want the Trump administration to start being far more aggressive. Where are the indictments? Where are the investigations? You've got a lot of these people dead to rights, and you no longer have a recalcitrant DOJ unwilling to prosecute. You've got Pam Bondi. Go start getting these people. I think President Trump should have used when AOC, Sandy Ocasio, was out there basically saying that he was involved in insider trading. He should have sued her for defamation, for one. But when she said, hey, there needs to be an investigation as to whether anybody inside the Trump organization participated in insider trading, I would have loved Trump to say, okay, I'll take you up on that. Let's appoint a special counsel to look at it. If anybody in the government participated in insider trading, as it regards to the pausing of the tariffs, but we're not going to stop there. The same special counsel is going to investigate every single member of the government, both bureaucratic and every single member of Congress and their staffs, to investigate if anybody has been involved in insider trading going back 20 years. Oh, and we're also going to investigate who from Congress received any taxpayer money laundered through NGOs, through the U.S., through USAID, the Department of Education, or any other agency of the government where money was given to NGOs and made its way back to political campaign funds or into people's personal pockets. Let's investigate it all. I guarantee you, you're going to have, at a minimum, half of Congress under indictment for money laundering and for insider trading. Let's go. Let's go down that road. Let's open Pandora's box. And I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. Let's expose it all. Now, I haven't done that. I would love to see them do that. He should have taken her up on it right away. Oh, hey, AOC, you're right. Let's do it. I'm appointing a special counsel today. It's going to be an extremely conservative, by-the-book special counsel, and they're going to find out who did this, if anybody. But I digress. This is about the fact, where are the indictments of people like this? People that we know took foreign money. They took money from the CCP. They took money from our enemies. I want to see Pam Bondi get far more aggressive. Wu could be indicted for hampering ICE efforts. She could also potentially be indicted for taking foreign influence peddling money. This is getting ugly for Democrats all around the town. I think you could absolutely see, as Nellie said earlier, the end of the Democrat Party as we know it. Crazy. But thanks for showing up. Really appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed today's show. You guys are awesome. We are here now at the Chris Highland Show, at the new channel. We are monetized, so please feel free to join us as a member. Share this with everybody that you know if you like this content. Thanks so much for showing up. Like, subscribe, and share. And remember that God is good and He is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end. Till I catch you next time.